for me here. Okay, it says I'm live on Facebook too. So happy Friday, everybody. It's been a really long week for me between doing the launch and it seems like something always happens when I do a launch. And this time around, it was no different than usual. What happened was my kids both got sick, and we have been just kind of struggling our way through kids being sick all week. And it's not super fun when babies get sick. I have learned because yeah, not fun, not fun at all. We happen to have teething coincide with my daughter went to daycare. My older daughter went to daycare for literally the very first time on Friday, and last Friday, and that weekend she was sick with a cold, and then she gave it to me and my husband and my mom and the baby. So there's just no way to avoid toddler boogers, I don't think. But anyway, we're all surviving, but it's been a hell of a week. So okay, let's see. So the launch is over. We have an amazing group of women who are joining the next round of Overcoming the Female MG Mind Trap. I'm so excited about it. I can't wait to introduce them to this amazing work that we do. Can't wait to see their lives transform. Can't wait to see them love the work that we do and really enjoy it. Hello. And yeah, I'm stoked. So I have now opened up a link to join the waitlist if you're thinking you might want to join us next round if this timing wasn't great for you. I know some people really had a hard time with the scheduling, and so that I might do differently next time around. So jump on the waitlist, and yeah, please do stick around. I won't be emailing the waitlist until we're closer to the next launch, which won't happen until spring of 2022. But that is the place to be if you want to make sure you get all of the information. Okay, let's see what else. So, if you are waiting on an acceptance letter, then you'll hear back from me by Tuesday at the latest. I may have one spot opening up. I'm just waiting to hear back from someone about that. So I might be coming and making an offer to some of the people that are on the wait list. And yeah, thanks to all the amazing applicants who applied for this round. Okay, so today we're going to talk about choosing your heart. And this has really been resonating with me a lot lately. The idea of choosing between two hard things and how you can choose which one is the one that best fits with what you want in your life. Okay. We walk around a lot of the time not really realizing that we're choosing the hard we're more comfortable with. Especially if we don't look at the consequence of choosing the hard we're more comfortable with. So, what I mean by this really is that both my clients, and I will fully admit me too, we walk around in fear of choosing to believe something new about ourselves. Okay. Mine recently has been that I can celebrate my success and tell the world what I'm really dang good at doing. But other things I've seen my clients have a hard time doing would be believing stuff like it's safe for them to love and care about themselves, that there isn't anything wrong with them, right? They're just learning something new, that they are good enough, that they belong, that they deserve their success, that they're worthy, that they deserve rest, that they deserve self-care. What else? That they can validate themselves internally. And why is it so hard for us to believe this stuff, right? Can anybody relate to this? Like, has anybody had a hard time learning to believe this kind of stuff about themselves? It's because it involves us leaving our comfort zone, which feels so icky and uncomfortable. And we doubt that these things could be really true about ourselves. So, as well, to do this, right, we have to be ready. We have to be ready to be on to ourselves. We have to be ready to be aware of our thinking. We have to be able to tell ourselves no when we start to go down the old pathway. And it's hard work to say like no to ourselves, right? To decide I'm not treating myself like this anymore, to make the radical decision that I'm not going to believe. I'm not going to indulge my brain when it tells me like I'm not good enough. I'm not going to believe that anymore. And to remind ourselves that we're working on something new, and we might have to do it 1,000 times before we actually believe something new. Okay. And it's especially hard to do this because, guys, when we're believing this, stuff that comes from our inner critic, we feel like ass, right? And so trying to convince ourselves of something new when we feel like ass is really hard. So, I have an example for you. Okay. I have a client who I'm working with on learning how to move from really seeking a lot of external validation to creating internal validation for herself. And she's pretty hooked on the external validation. Okay. So she really thinks that people need to approve of her and like her. And that if she isn't getting that external validation, that it means that she's somehow not a good person, right? And she's somehow not creating really good and strong relationships with other people. And so she is always thinking about reaching out to other people to have some kind of like social interaction with them. But what she's been realizing lately is that this has been backfiring on her. Okay. So, because she hasn't been, her desire to seek external validation, right, and get positive feedback from the world around her has created a situation where she has not been able to see how this might not be the right thing for the people around her. And so, sorry, you guys, I'm just, sorry, Instagram, got a phone call. Um, so essentially what happens is, hey, Nicole, this ends up leaving her feeling even more isolated and even more vulnerable, okay? Because people aren't, that for whatever reason, right? For whatever personal reason they have, they don't, they're not ready and willing to have a conversation with her about whatever it is that she wants to converse about. She then thinks, oh my gosh, like I'm not building a good enough relationship with other people. I just want them to understand that I want to have a good relationship with them, right? And so, then she in turn, right, tells herself like, oh my gosh, people don't like me, there's something wrong with me, right? And this prevents her from really seeing that there could be another reason why people don't want to interact with her in the moment. So um versus if she was willing to validate herself, okay, she could see that she's doing this because she is well intentioned, right? She just wants to build relationships with people, but that sometimes, for whatever reason, people in their life aren't available to do that back. Okay. And it doesn't mean anything about her, it could be totally about them. And then she can support herself and she can seek support from the people who are in her actually in her world that are here to support her, like people like me, right, as her coach, appropriate, healthy source of validation, right? So here's the problem with being stuck trying to stay inside our comfort zone because we don't want the discomfort. We don't want the doubt that comes up when we try to believe something new, such as, I'm successful. I belong. I love myself. This is good enough. I did my best. I'm worthy. I'm worth it. Any of these kind of things, right? We tend to minimize the discomfort of where we are now when we let our inner critic run the show. Okay. Which, by the way, actually feels fucking awful, you guys. Okay. And it costs us so much. It's hard. It's painful. It keeps us playing small. It robs us of enjoyment in our life. But it doesn't have to be this way. We never consider the lost experiences when we listen to our inner critic, right? The effect that that disappointment has on us, the cost of constantly seeking external validation, the toxic and damaging nature of the relationship we have with ourselves when we treat ourselves like this. So I just want you to ask yourselves today, which hard am I going to choose about one thing in your life? You pick it, okay? Something new you want to believe about yourself. Now, if you're up for the challenge of choosing the hard, of sitting with the discomfort that comes from leaving your comfort zone, right? And starting to build yourself up, starting to improve your relationship with yourself, I'm going to teach you 3 strategies that make it less hard. Okay. So the first is thinking intentionally and choosing thoughts that you already believe that shift you towards where you want to go. Okay. The second one is something called bridge thoughts, which is slightly different. So I'm going to teach you the difference between the two. And the third one is, I'm learning how to feel those icky feelings. Okay. So on to number 1, creating intentional thoughts. So I want you to ask yourself the powerful question to build up your belief. I like to think about this as like ramparts or a fortress around a castle, right? So you're going to ask yourself stuff like, what do I know is true right now? Like, say you wanted to work towards loving yourself more. What do I love about myself? And you get all of that out on pen and paper, okay? What do I believe right now that I have done in the world that's worthy of love? What supporting evidence do I have that I could be lovable, that it would be safe for me to love myself? Okay. And you just keep asking yourself questions like this to get out everything that you do believe right now. And then notice how you feel, right? Notice if you feel closer to being able to believe the new thought that you want to believe. Okay. The truth is that the things we believe are not black and white, right? We often think they are, but we can partially believe something. And so you want to get out everything that will make your fortress stronger because it makes it easier for you to believe new things. Okay. So, number 2 is called a thought bridge. Okay. And basically, when you think about this, these are beliefs that are going to build a bridge to get you from somewhere you are right now to somewhere new that you want to be. Okay. And so you focus on them one at a time until they become comfortable and routine for you. So you want to get to the one that feels like a little bit stepping outside of your comfort zone. Okay. That's not totally believable to you right now, but that you can, it's not a far stretch for you to believe. Okay. And then you're going to really sit with that one until it's like easy peasy. You just believe it, no problem. Okay. So, the, example that we could use here would be working towards believing that you will love yourself no matter what the outcome of the things that you take on and you try to do in your life are. Okay. So, say you take on something challenging as a physician. You're like, I want to apply for that new position. I want to take on that leadership position. But there's going to be some hardship along the way, right? And you just really want to work on loving yourself and accepting yourself no matter whether you get everything perfect the first time that you try to do this. So, you might have something go wrong. Okay. You might make some kind of mistake, right? You might be tempted to really like critique yourself, really be very self-critical and think something like, I'm such a failure, right? So, your first bridge thought to move you towards a place where you love and you accept yourself no matter what might be something like, instead of I'm such a failure, you're going to move to I failed at doing XYZ. Okay. So, I failed at leading that meeting the way I wanted to lead it. Okay. So you pick the very specific thing. Okay. Instead of like everything in your life is a failure, right? We're going to go away from the broad and we're going to go to the very specific. Then you might decide, once that's fully believable to you, okay, that it's not you that's the failure, it's just the thing that didn't go the way you wanted it to, okay, then you might go to, I'm learning to accept myself, even if I fail at XYZ. Okay. So I'm learning to accept myself, even if I didn't lead that meeting, even if I didn't lead people to the outcome I was hoping to get when I was in that leadership position. Okay. Then the fourth one you might work on would be, I can use the areas where I fail to figure out how to do better next time. So I want you to notice how this is starting to make the failure a an experience that actually could benefit you. Okay. And then you might go to something like, I like being a person who embraces my failures as learning opportunities. Then you might be like, I am a person who embraces my failures as learning opportunities, right? So you're just really embodying that now, right? You are declaring that that's who you are. And then you could be like, I like me even when I make mistakes. Like, I just like me, period, right? I like me with mistakes, I like me without mistakes. And then the last one could be something like, I love and accept myself no matter what. And that's really like a far stretch to get to, right? But you can see how if you kept working towards each of these beliefs, if you said them to yourself enough times in the day, if you looked for evidence to support them, right? If you did that intentional thought building that I was talking about in the first step, how eventually you could really start to accept that some of these things are true for yourself. Okay. So, can you see when we do it that way, right? How the thoughts are like a bridge that allow us to cross from the place where we start to the place where we want to go. Sometimes people also conceptualize this like a ladder, okay, that you would climb until you get to the top. So, the last strategy is just getting really, really, really good at sitting with self doubt and the discomfort that comes up when we try to ask ourselves to believe something new. So, for a lot of us, that's going to be just like it's almost like somebody. Uh, okay, for just to really help you get this is an extreme example, but it's like somebody threw up on you, okay, or like somebody you know um like sneezed on you or something, okay? So you're gonna feel that like repulsion. You're like, no, I can't believe that. Like my inner critic is so strong. I can only possibly believe that I just am a failure, right? So it's like your gut reactions just to say like nope and shut down, right? So you walk through the intentional thought creation, you walk through finding all the things you do believe that'll usually start to shift your emotional state a little bit, right? You'll start to feel a little bit better. But a lot of the times we just have to learn to get comfortable with the unfamiliarity, the doubt, the like idea to repel these things that are things it would be amazing to believe about ourselves, but that we're so far removed from that we don't know how to experience them right now. We don't know how to sit in the energy of believing that thing. So um what I always teach people about is when you're in that feeling that discomfort, okay, you're choosing the hard of the discomfort of stepping outside of your comfort zone. What can you do with that self doubt or that resistance that comes up? What I teach people to do is to think about it like think about that primitive part of your brain that does that as like a screaming, tantruming toddler. Okay. And whenever there is a screaming, tantruming toddler, if you thought about you driving your car and the screaming tantruming toddler being in the car, if they weren't safely strapped into their car seat, they would probably drive your car right off the road, right? They would interfere with your driving. But if you safely strap them in the back, they're gonna be there. You're gonna be aware of the screaming toddler. There's gonna be like a bit of that feeling, but you're not really in danger of changing your course of action because of the screaming toddler. You can see that it's there and you can be like, now, I'm going to give the toddler a great big hug and lots of love and lots of support, but I'm not going to drive the car off the road just because the toddler, or I'm not going to, turn the car around and drive it to McDonald's just because that's where the toddler wants to go. Okay. So notice how the primitive part of your brain I'll be like, no, we can't do this. It's dangerous. It's not safe. I've been trained to, you know, believe that I flagellate myself to success. So if I let go of that inner critic and I really just started to believe and support myself no matter what I do, that would be really dangerous to me. So this is how you can learn to start to sit with that discomfort when you're trying to step outside of that comfort zone and do something new in your life and believe something new about yourself, right? And improve your relationship with yourself. Okay. So that's all I have for you guys tonight. Quick reminder. So the intentional thinking, right, is when you start asking yourself questions about what you already believe that supports the thought. Okay. The second one, the bridge or the ladder thoughts, right, is when you build a series of thoughts that you're going to work towards believing, because each thought is easier for you to believe than the one you ultimately want to start to believe about yourself. And then the third one is just learning to be with our uncomfortable emotions, right? And remembering that it's not comfortable being in the self-loathing and the self-hatred and the anxiety and the overwhelm that comes from when we listen to our inner critic. But so often we do that because it's more familiar to us. Okay, that's all I have for you all. I hope you seriously enjoy your weekend, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Take care. Bye.